Because your baby's going to come when your baby's ready to come, regardless. We're just trying to make the process easier.
Chemistry, I won't let no one come and take your place. Cause the love you give, it can't be replaced. See, no one else does like you do. That's why I don't mind spend my life with you. I wanna please you in any way I can. I wanna share my world, don't you understand? Your love is a one in a million. It goes on and on and on.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Derrika. I create lifestyle, faith, and motherhood content. Also, I am 36 weeks and 5 days pregnant, one of them. And I have a 15-month, almost 16-month-old. So, by you can tell, as you can tell, Lord, girl, your words. By the title of this video, we're going through how to help make labor and delivery easier. So these are things I did with my first child, and I actually had like a pretty, I guess, fast labor process. Statistically, they say like your first child can take like 12 plus hours. You can labor for that long. It's a lot more, it's just stress on your body. Your body's never done it before. By the time you've already had your first child, then it becomes a little bit easier. But listen, labor pains be laboring, okay? It hurts. So I'm trying to make it a lot less time consuming and just a little easier on my body. I also had my daughter unmedicated, and I want to do the same thing with my second born. And that's just personal preference. If you guys want to know like more about that, then we can talk about that later. But that's my plan. So things that I'm doing to make the labor and delivery process easier. First things first is drinking red raspberry leaf tea. This is the kind that I got. I just picked it up from Target, but literally you can probably get a better version from like a Whole Foods, or if you have like a tea, like local tea shop or something like that, you can probably get a better version from them. I'm not a tea drinker. I actually hate tea. It tastes like dirty water to me. But I drink it because it's supposed to help with ripening your cervix, so softening and thinning out your cervical lining. And then it also helps like strengthen and tone your uterus, which is supposed to help with contractions. So they say, and I'm just telling, because I'm not a doctor, y'all. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling y'all from one mama to another what I did, also the research that I did, and like what other women have said as well. But they say it's supposed to help shorten the labor process, reduce the need for medical intervention in C-section. Um, so when I actually was laboring with my firstborn, she, my, what am I trying to say? Lord, the early stages of labor was actually a little bit longer, but my active labor was only like 5 hours, and I only pushed like 5 times, which is like unheard of for a firstborn. So they were like, my doctor actually almost missed the birth of my child. Um, and they thought they may have needed to do an intervention because she decided she wanted to play with her umbilical cord and wrap it around her neck twice. So, I'm not saying to stop that from happening or whatever. I'm just saying that like red raspberry leaf tea is supposed to be one of those like hidden gems that help reduce the need for medical intervention. So that's first thing. Second thing is dates. Also hate these. Literally, sorry about my nails. They're getting done today. Um, Dates, y'all, they're drinking. Like they're not drinking. I don't like them. They're too sweet. So they taste like super sweet raisins, but that are also like very dense. I don't know. I'm not a fan. With my first one, I put them in like protein smoothies because I needed to intake more protein when I was pregnant with her. I did not do that with my second born, so I've just been eating them. Not a fan, but we do what we gotta do. I just started taking them at 36 weeks or around 36 weeks just because I don't want to do too much because I'm not yet full term. I'll be full term at the end of this week at 37 weeks. And I'm trying to hold off because right now, because we recently moved, and right now we don't really have help with our firstborn, so I'm trying to hold off until she's full term. I want to minimize like any of the poking and prodding and the testing and all that stuff with this one, but also just for the health of both of us. But with dates, they're supposed to also help with ripening of your cervix, reducing the duration of labor, and the need to be induced. So similar to the benefits of red raspberry leaf tea, some people do say that red raspberry leaf tea can induce labor. That wasn't my experience, and I didn't see a lot of people saying that. I just saw some people saying, "Hey, I've had this or I drank this," and like when I started drinking red raspberry leaf tea at 37 plus weeks, I went into labor. I also don't know how strong they were making their tea, how many times a day they were drinking their tea. I only drink this once a day, maybe twice. Again, I'm not a tea person and I'm not trying to induce labor at this point. I just want to make it easier in the event that I go into labor early. The next thing I'm doing to, sorry. The next thing I'm doing to make the labor and delivery process easier for myself and my child is drinking okra water. All right, this one I swear by, and there's like no data or anything, but listen, let me tell y'all. So if you drink okra water, first of all, okra water is good for you when you're not pregnant. So it helps lubricate you from the inside out, okay? And it's like it's an old remedy. Like it's an old remedy. It's not a westernized thing, but listen, if you know, you know. Do your research, okay? Um, but a lot of cultures like drink okra water, especially throughout the pregnancy and towards the end of the pregnancy. Um, and it helps. It's supposed to help ease your contractions during childbirth. I don't know about all that because regardless, it hurts. But it also helps with like preventing postpartum bleeding. And because you're lubricated, it helps for an easier like passage. So, or lubricated. What does it lubricate? Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Listen, because you're moist, okay? Because you're moist, This is such a gross word, but it helps with like your child like going to the birth canal. So I started drinking okra water around 36, 37 weeks with my firstborn, all the way up until I delivered her. Like literally, I think I had a cup before I left the house to go to the hospital. um, and like I said, I pushed her out fairly easy. I did not really anticipate that. It still hurt regardless. If y'all watch my birth vlog, like your girl was in pain, okay? But I wasn't having to like push for hours. I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't like she wasn't stuck in my birth canal. Like she came out, they unwrapped the umbilical cord from around her neck, and then the rest of her slid right on out. They were like, no, she came out like very easy. And again, they were asking me like, "Is this your first child?" And I was like, "Yes." And they were shocked because they're like, "How?" I'm telling y'all, the okra water works. If nothing else works, this okra water work. Even outside of pregnancy, because I continue to drink it postpartum to just help with like cleansing out my body, all that stuff. I didn't bleed as long, um, so I only bled really for I don't even want to say a full week. I bled kind of heavy, I guess, the first maybe like couple days, and then I did have a little bit of I won't say complications, but they had to scoop out the rest of my uterine, or no placenta. They had to scoop out the rest of my placenta from my uterine wall, so that obviously incurred more bleeding. Um, but aside from that, like I didn't really have a lot of postpartum bleeding or anything like that. Like after the first maybe like 2 or 3 days, it was almost like regular period bleeding, cycle bleeding. I don't know. So there was that. And then another thing I'm doing to help with making the labor and delivery process easier is staying active. Now, before I was actually like working out. And when I say before, I mean like with my first pregnancy, not my second. My second pregnancy, y'all, I was gonna say I've been lazy, but realistically, I'm chasing behind a toddler all day. There's nothing lazy about that. But walking around, staying active, all that, it helps with your cervical effacement, so thinning of thinning of the lining of your cervix, and then also helps with dilation and allows your baby to drop into the birth canal. So right now at 36 and 4 or 5, let me see how far am I? Because I don't know. 36 and 5. So right now at 36, or as of 36 weeks and 4 days, so I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. I am 2 centimeters dilated and about like 50% of face, I think she said. So I was 3 centimeters dilated, but I was 3 centimeters and around like 50% of face with my firstborn around I think 38, 9 weeks, one of those. I think like 38 going into 39, something like that. Um, or no, because I was never, I didn't become three 3 centimeters dilated until I was like in labor. I was at like 1 to 2 for a while with my firstborn. I didn't also start like walking and get like I wasn't. I was still working out with my firstborn, but I kind of like really slowed down and just sat down because I was tired. Towards the end of my pregnancy, which I probably shouldn't have done, but whatever. And then I got back active in the final weeks to help get her in position, put her in her like make sure that she was um, head down in the right position and going into the birth canal. So I just didn't want any complications. So I was trying to naturally do the best, like everything that I could to minimize any types of interventions or like them trying to force me into labor because I just didn't want that for myself. And then the last thing to help with an easier labor and delivery process. So and I'm not doing this until I'm like prepared to go into labor. So I probably literally will not do this until I am full term. So starting over the weekend is labor workouts. I did do some like positioning stretches and things of that nature with my first one. I didn't do that with this one just because she already was like in position, good to go. I was just very, I'll say high strung. I was like, I think I was so anxious with my first one and just wanting like the type of labor and delivery that I wanted and wanting to ensure that I wasn't having to be induced. I didn't have to have a C-section, and not saying I was completely opposed to it because realistically I can only do what I can do. But I wanted to minimize the likelihood of those things happening, so I was on top of every single thing. This second pregnancy, y'all, it kind of just it didn't sneak up on me, but I just feel like it flew by. Like, and it's really just because I have one here already that is like she's very active. So just trying to like stay present with her, but then also take care of myself. Listen, it's a lot. Okay, it's a lot. But the labor like prep inducing workouts, I didn't start doing those with my first one until I was 37 weeks, anyways, just because I wanted to make sure I was full term before I like possibly went into labor. With this one, because it seems like she might come a little early, just based on how I've been feeling, I'll probably go ahead and start doing the one that I swear sent me into labor over the weekend, and then just let her come next week. Because our agreement was she needs to come while we have extra hands here to help with her sister, and then she also needs to be full term. And then my last like request of her was that we were not in the hospital on Christmas. So she's probably gonna come soon. But that labor needs to work out. It really just like helps drop your baby further down into your birth canal. If your body's already prepped and ready to go, so like it's just kind of needing a little nudge maybe. So that's where like your red raspberry leaf tea came in, your dates came in, your okra water, like walking. Those are things where your body's naturally doing what it needs to do to prepare to birth your child. Because your baby's gonna come when your baby's ready to come, regardless. We're just trying to make the process easier. I'm trying to limit the duration of labor, limit the pain, and make pushing a lot easier. Because, y'all, it's a lot. It's a lot of stress on you, your body, your baby. Um, and that's why everybody just sleeps after you give birth because it's exhausting. It's a lot of stress on your partner and whoever else is around while you're giving birth. So with the labor inducing workout, like you need to be ready to go because I promise you I did that workout and a couple hours later I was in the hospital. Um, but yeah, so those are the things that I'm doing to prepare for an easier labor and delivery process. I'm I was like super anxious, but now I'm like at a point where I'm kind of not exhausted, excited. I am exhausted, but that's just motherhood. But I'm excited. I feel like I've pretty much got everything that I need to get done. Also, this being my second go around, I'm like, okay, we got this. We can do this. And so, really, just praying for a healthy and safe labor and delivery, healthy and safe baby, um, and an easier labor and delivery than the first time. And the first time wasn't horrible. It just wasn't. Listen, it hurt. It hurt. Um, but that's it. That's all. I hope that this helps somebody. I hope that you try some of these tips and tricks. Let me know how it goes in the comments if you do try them. But yeah, make sure you guys do your own research. If you have any other tips and tricks to help make the labor and delivery process easier, let me know in the comments below. Um, Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I have more content coming in preparation for baby girl number 2. I will see you guys in the next video.